First and foremost, before we get started, I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while unto his truth, and also to those that scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great, powerful lesson through the spirit of power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the type D lesson is end time events. So I like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope this helped you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today's lesson, I have a few news articles, but we'll start here first by the one by ABC News. And it reads, said 20 dead as significant severe weather, flash flooding tears through parts of the U.S. It said relentless, life-threatening weather condition continue into Sunday across multiple states, including the threat of severe flooding in Memphis, Tennessee, and Little Rock, Arkansas, and tornado watches in Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Since Wednesday, at least 20 people have died amid the outbreak of severe weather, including a 9-year-old boy in Kentucky who was swept away by flood waters as he walked to a bus stop, and several people killed in southwestern Tennessee after a strong EF3 tornado ripped through the city of Selmer, said Georgia Governor Brian Kemp shared his sympathies Sunday evening after 2 people were killed when a tree fell on them at a Georgia golf course. So we're seeing right here now that the Lord is constantly visiting the earth that he created. We're seeing left and right more end time event, more prophetic prophecies are constantly, are manifesting right before our eyes. So one thing about it is that, these things gonna constantly pick up. Tension is constantly rising. Also in the news, we're seeing about the protesting across America as we speak. People are now protesting, uproars of the people right now. People are speaking out against this Trump administration, because, they're talking about these tariffs. Also, they're talking about these new executive orders. Also, a lot of people are getting laid off. So we're seeing right now that the nation is divided. We already know if a nation is divided, it cannot stand. So we're seeing all these things are constantly happening. And it's being manifested right before our eyes, uproars of the people. Also sedition. And also any given time, they can call what? Martial law. They can call in the military, lock down everything. So you already know where this is going. So a lot of things that happen, these storms, these tempests, these tornadoes, flash flooding, destruction that we have never seen before. These things are constantly picking up left and right. And another thing, the body count is constantly rising. The death toll is constantly rising each and every day. So we're seeing that these things going every day is constantly, increasing. We're seeing right now with our own eyes that the prophets, constantly been warning you about all these perilous events, these catastrophic events, calamities that's constantly happening. And also we already know that the war drums are constantly beating. Also in the news, China warns Israel to withdraw their military assets from Syria and Lebanon. So, one warning behind another, man. These things are constantly picking up left and right, man. And also, it's already that is rumors that that this economy, at any given time could collapse. They're saying that we're going into a recession. All sorts of things are happening. Left and right. That's why we always got to be constantly watching. Also redeeming the time wisely, measuring the time. Because these things are right before our eyes. So these storms happen against across several states, Tennessee, Arkansas, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, these things, man, left and right are constantly happening. So the Lord is constantly, the great day of the Lord is near upon the heathens, and also, upon these 2/3. So these things are constantly happening. A lot of people right now still are going on with their daily life, and these things are constantly rising left and right. We're almost at the boiling point of all hell breaking loose. So now let's get a little bit of this news report right here by ABC News.
Out of the punishing series of powerful and deadly storms in the south, more than a foot of rain has fallen in some areas, and it's not quite over just yet. Morgan Norwood is live in Little Rock now with the latest. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning to you, Gio. Even though the rain has let up a little bit here in Little Rock, the Arkansas River is still rising. It could hit flood stage this week, and across the Mid-South and the Midwest, at least 18 flood gauges at major flood stage. And this morning, that's triggering fresh fears, especially among those communities that are still recovering. This morning, that unrelenting once-in-a-generation storm blamed for the deaths of at least 11 people, including a 16-year-old firefighter in Missouri in a vehicle crash as he responded to a reported water rescue. This week, 91 tornadoes reported in 10 states, from Kansas to Ohio. In Mississippi, residents say emergency text warnings gave them just seconds to escape.
Without it, my daughter and my grandson would have been in that room right there where there's no wall anymore.
In Grand Saline, Texas, this man sheltering in his bathroom while the wall of his bedroom was ripped off.
When that wall come off, it just boom, shook the whole house.
In Nashville, Tennessee, strong winds and torrential rain prompting residents to seek safety in community shelters.
It's just scary of the devastation in so many different places.
Arkansas taking on more than a foot of rain, livestock trudging through flooded out farms in Sheridan. First responders out in full force, wading through floodwaters and pulling people from cars in Texarkana.
It was floating in the water and it just didn't want to go.
Parts of Kentucky also buried beneath the floodwaters. This home floating down the river, now a pile of debris. And we know the toll of this storm has been incredibly tragic. This morning, Arkansas officials saying a 5-year-old in North Little Rock died when a tree fell on their home. And across the storm zone, we also know more than 190 customers still without power this morning, Gio.
Oh, that 5-year-old, so sad. All right, Morgan, thank you so much. Let's bring in Samara now, because the big question this morning, Samara, is when.
So we seeing right there that, these things right here, every day, one storm behind another, one event behind another. So we already know that the end is constantly being manifested right before our eyes. So now let's get this other news report here by CBS News, about this protesting across America, the uproars of the people. It says here, CBS News, it said, hands off Americans across the country protest Trump and Musk. So, they coming against this administration. It says here, protesters attend a hands-off rally to demonstrate against President Donald Trump, said on the National Mall, said April the 5th, 2025 in Washington, D.C., said hundreds of thousands took to the streets, said in cities across the United States, said in opposition to the policies of Mr. Trump, said in the largest protest since he returned to the presidency. So at least 1,300 rallies were held in all 50 states, so in the U.S. territories. So according to organizers who, let's get this all right quick, Salakia. It says held in all 50 states and in the U.S. territories. So according to organizers who said attendance far exceeded expectations, said demonstrations were also held in a dozen cities overseas. So we're seeing right here that, it could, it's already been said it would be a civil war, a civil unrest. So we're seeing these things are taking place left and right. And also we're seeing that the Lord is setting the Egyptian against the Egyptians, the modern day Egyptian now are the Americans, Esau, Edom, these heathen, we're going to have, race war, all sorts of things are getting ready to happen. All hell is getting ready to break loose. So there are protestings across major cities across the U.S. as we speak. And a lot of people still thinking that, that, oh man, everything would be all right. It's just a bump in the road. Also, Trump is saying that, that America take your medicine. We might go through some rough turbulence, but, he's trying to make America great again. But we already knowing that, America will never be great. America is constantly circling the drain. This place is finished. So we seeing the fall of America, Babylon the Great, right before our eyes. And also we seeing at the end it's being manifested left and right. So let's get this other one right quick. So they're protesting. People are speaking out. Uproars of the people. We already know that, hey man, Jacob's trouble is close at hand, man. A time of trouble that we've never seen before. Let's go to this one right here. Let's read just a little bit of this here. This off of this news break. It says here, America in free fall under corrupt Trump amid administration. So we see it right now. America is in a free fall, constantly on the decline, constantly circling the drain. This place is it is finished. America is going out of business and it never come back into business anymore. This place is getting ready to be totally destroyed. We're right upon it. Also, the war drums are constantly beating left and right, man. So tensions is rising. It says here, a crumbling economy, said the mass firing of government workers and the overall instability, say in President Donald Trump, America has the country on the brink, with tariffs and verbal attacks against Canada and other allies. Even the United States' most loyal friends have questioned the stability of the nation. So right now, we're seeing right now that Trump is constantly, talking about putting tabs on Canada, Mexico, South America, China, and these states are constantly in retaliation. They say they're gonna put the same tariffs back upon them, and also you already know our economy is constantly fluctuating. It's going up and down. Well, it's constantly plunging right now. So a lot of people right now have a lot of uncertainty. A lot of people are getting very angry. A lot of people are very, tense right now. So this place right now is getting ready to fall apart. And we already know what's getting ready to happen. So one thing about it, we're constantly rejoice. This is not your rest. So we already know that these other nations that was once at peace with America, now they're coming in alliance against America. You know what I'm saying? This place is getting ready to be totally destroyed. So we already knowing that DJ Donald Trump was set up as a puppet, for these global, at least the international bacon to do they will to bring forth this NWO. They want total control. So now let's go here. Get a quick precept. I have a few more videos to bring out, then we'll close out. Let's go here. Let's start with this one here. Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 9. Let's start there because we're seeing right now that it's being manifested right before our eyes, the end. Let's go here. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. Let's get this quick precept. He said, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the sign pass, which I have told thee before. Verse 2 said, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, as the Lord is visiting the world which he's made. That's why a lot of these things are constantly happening left and right. The Lord is causing all these different events to happen, all these prophecies to take place left and right, and they're going to constantly increase. They're going to constantly pick up before his great and glorious return. Also our salvation is at the door. Verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. Verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So right now we're seeing that earthquakes in diverse places. Every day is an earthquake, you know what I'm saying? Uproars of the people. We're seeing the protesting, you know what I'm saying? People going to break out all of a sudden, it's going to be, a lawless time, city against city, brother against brother, you know what I'm saying? We coming upon these times. That's why we're constantly warning you left and right. Seek the Lord while he can be found. Let's read verse 4 again. It said, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world has a beginning and the end. And the end is manifest. So we seeing right now we're at the end of a age, the end of an eon. We seeing that we're living in the end time, real time. We're living in the last day as we speak. And one thing about it, these prophecies are constantly going out left and right. The men of the Lord in the highways and byways, making these video epistles each and every day, constantly warning you of all these impending dangers. And one thing about it, the Lord is getting ready to show up and show out. That's what we're constantly warning you about. And the Lord is constantly visiting the earth that he created. The Lord is constantly bringing these storms, these floods, these earthquakes, these volcanic activity, these eclipses, blood moon, the list go on and on. And one thing about it, it's going to constantly pick up. It's going to constantly increase. That's why the Lord said it's going to be a time of trouble that we've never seen before. Now, let's start today's video. And after the video, we'll start the lesson. And I hope that you will get edified. I have a few more videos to bring out. One moment.
Hundreds of protests are taking place right now across the country. Demonstrators telling the Trump administration, quote, hands off.
I stand with many millions of Americans that want to see the end of a dictatorship that's starting to take away all of our democratic rights, fundamental institutions, jobs, health care, education, and everything else that we've come as Americans to love and appreciate.
I see this administration dismantling democracy in ways large and small. I see the people who are not resisting, that should be, is basically Congress. And it's upsetting.
Watching my 403B evaporate in the last 2 days. And it's pretty hurtful to see minority history just being erased. It's pretty sickening.
I just don't feel that America is what it should be. Over the past 2 months, we're doing everything that's un-American, and I just feel that we need to get back, and the only way we can do it is through the people.
We're upset about the rights of trans, that we don't have any rights at this point that they're trying to step on.
I'm here today because I see the country I grew up in completely being demolished, and really for future generations, I mean, the freedoms we had, they don't have anymore under this regime.
So we seeing that we're very close, all hell breaking loose. We're coming upon these perilous times as we speak. So let's go here first. And we seeing that the Lord is, the great day of the Lord is what is upon these heathen nations. The Lord is constantly judging these nations, these heathens, left and right, one thing behind another, and also these two-thirds, said judgment is now at hand. The Lord is bringing it down left and right, He ain't playing around anymore. So we're seeing every day something is happening. That's why we constantly warn you. Repent and return to your true power while he still can be found. The door of repentance is closed. I start off here just random scriptures and didn't really put anything together, but we'll start here first. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 15 said, "For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathens. It said, as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Said thou reward shall return upon thy own head." So that's exactly what's happening. We're seeing what was done to us. What? For the conservation of Zion. The Lord is constantly visiting the earth that he created. We're seeing that these prophecies are lining up like clockwork. We're seeing right now the Lord is also slowly putting these curses on these other nations. Right now, we're right upon judgment. Judgment is now at hand. The Lord is executing it, And one thing about it, he's constantly making it plain left and right. So we see right now the great day of the Lord is upon the heathen. So everywhere you look, all great devastation. A lot of people are displaced. A lot of people lost their home. A lot of people lost their lives. And it's going to constantly increase. Verse 16 said, "For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been." So that's exactly what's getting ready to happen. So the Lord's constantly bringing. We're seeing the protesting all across America. Most likely we see mostly what Edomite, because they seeing right now that that this place is constantly crumbling, and also we already know they're seeing that their days are determined. So we're in that transition of power. We're seeing these things are playing out right before our eyes. We're seeing the fall of America. You know what I'm saying? And man, we cannot wait. Babylon the Great. So let's read this once again. It says, "For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, says, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been." So that's exactly what we're seeing. What was done to us get ready to be done to them. So a lot of these evils are falling upon these heathens, what I'm saying, and also these two-thirds. You're seeing this destruction. The Lord is putting hell on them left and right. We constantly rejoicing. We seeing they constantly complaining about their government official is already saying that they shall not regard the kings or the princes. So we seeing right now the president, the government, they get ready to buck up. So we already know what they already have in place. These things are constantly rising left and right. The sword and their destruction draws nearer and nearer. So let's go to this one here. Let's go to Second Ezra chapter. Let's go here. Second Ezra chapter 15. Let's get this one right here. Second Ezra chapter 15. Second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 15. It says here, "For the sword in their destruction draws nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." So that's what we're constantly seeing it right now, getting closer and closer to, people are a lawless time. It's in the modern day sword is the what? Is the gun. All sorts of weaponry is getting ready to come forth. So we're seeing one people shall stand up and fight against another. That's constantly its tensions rising, civil war. It could be a purge, all these different moves they done brought out in the past. We're seeing a lot of things that's taking place, Civil war is upon us. Verse 16 said, "For there shall be sedition among men," said, "invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So that's exactly what we constantly seeing sedition going into what? Protesting, rioting, looting, all sorts of things to get rid. Uproars of the people. So people are very angry. People are very right now, on the edge. You know what I'm saying? So these things get ready to happen. So you're seeing that now they're not regarding what the government. They're not regarding their leaders. You know what I'm saying? The president. Not anyone. They right now they are very divided. We seeing that happening left and right. And we seeing that that the action shall stand in their power. So we're seeing that happening left and right. So we're coming upon this lawless time that we have never seen before. And so these things are constantly picking up. It says sedition among men, they shall invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. We're very close, all hell breaking loose. And that sedition, protesting. We're seeing it left and right, man. We're very close. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, because they're going to put in what these mandates, these lockdowns, they're going to put the military in place, they're going to try to make this place out of police state, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of things they're constantly putting into place, where you won't be able to go in a different city without the right credentials. A lot of things are coming up. We're constantly warning you left and right, the hour of temptation. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So that's exactly what's getting ready to happen, when all this hell break loose. A lot of people's houses, shall be destroyed, because of what? The next, we coming up on it. We don't want to go to get ahead of ourselves. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. So we coming upon that time, famine, pestilence, a lot of plagues are constantly, are constantly increasing, these storm, these tempests, these things are on the ride, a great economic collapse. So, and that when that happens, it's going to cause a lack of bread and great tribulation. So a lot of people's houses are going to be troubled. A lot of people are going to be destroyed by the sword, by the military. A lot of things are getting ready to happen. We're constantly warning, that's why we got to always constantly be watching, being circumspect, redeeming the time, measuring the time wisely, because we're living in some very evil and cruel times right now. The love of many is constantly waxing cold and cold. How do we measure the time? We measure the time through what? Through the scriptures. They're what right now they're lining up just like clockwork. So we see it right now. The end is being manifested right before our eyes, man. So let's go to this one here. Let's go here to Nahum. Let's go to Nahum. The Lord is visiting the earth. No, let's go here to Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 29. Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 6. Let's go to this one here right quick. It said, thou shalt be the visitors of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquakes and great noise, with storms and tempests and the flame of divine fire. So the Lord is constantly visiting the earth. We're seeing, that he's constantly, these different storms all across America, these floodings, these tornadoes, all sorts. This tempest goes in those tornadoes, hurricanes, all sorts of things that have thunderstorm, hailstorm, earthquakes in diverse. So that great noise also what goes into these IBCM missiles. So we already know that we're very close of things going nuclear, flame of divine fire, coming with these the IBCM missiles. Also, these what these so-called forest fire. A lot of things is constantly burning too. So man, we're here, man. Man, every left and right, and when you look around, man, these things that happen. Thunder with earthquakes, great noise with storms and tempests and flame of divine fire. So Lord is visiting the earth that He created through the eyes. Who are the eyes? The angels, ride around as though what you call the UFO, constantly beholding the good and the evil, doing the Lord's bidding, whether it's good or bad, so the Lord is constantly making it plain. The Lord is constantly bringing forth these judgment left and right. And we're constantly warning you left and right. These things are happening right before your eye, but you have a lot of people have eyes to see, but see not. They have ears to hear, but they hear not because they're not spiritual. The prudent man can see what's coming. And a lot of our people are not going to see a damn thing until it be too late, So that's why we're constantly warning you left and right. Let's go here to Nahum. Let's go here to Nahum chapter 1. Let's go to this one right quick. Just a quick lesson. We'll get one more. Let's go here to Nahum chapter 1. Nahum chapter 1. We'll start up at verse 4. Nahum chapter 1. At verse 4, it said, He rebuketh the sea and maketh it dry, and dries up all the rivers. It said Bashan and languish, and Carmel and the flowers of Lebanon languish. The Lord's He's bringing it forward. The Lord's in perfect control of all these different storms. Verse 5, it said, The mountain quake at him, and the hills melt, and the earth is burned at his presence. Yea, the world and all that dwell therein. The Lord is visiting the earth that he created. It's just, the Lord, he is in perfect control. Verse 6, who can stand before his indignation or his righteous anger? Say, and who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? Say, his fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him. So the Lord, is one thing about it. He is constantly bringing these events, these calamities, these catastrophes, left and right. And who can abide? No one. When the Lord bring it, there ain't gonna be no more talking. So hey, man, we're very close. I think that's all we get out of that's all we get out of here. You know what I'm saying? We read this last one here. It said the Lord is good, said a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knoweth them that trust in him. And who is that? The elect, the true believers of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. So one thing about it, we already know that the Lord is constantly making inquisition. The Lord is constantly visiting the earth that he created. Also, the Lord is getting ready to bring that judgment like we have never seen before. So now let's go to our last and final strip. We close out here. Not to be a long lesson tonight. Let's see here. Once again, I hope that you will get edified. Let's go here to Ephesians chapter 5, and we'll close out at verse 15. And it reads, says, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, knowing what's going on around, knowing your environment, knowing the people that you're dealing with, knowing the signs of the times. And one thing about it, walk circumspectly, be wise. One thing about it, a lot of our people right now are unwise. A lot of people right now want to make mirth and folly, but what time we're not in that season. One thing about it, we knowing that war is upon us. We knowing that these prophecies speak tribulation, persecution, the beginning of sorrow, these birth pains, they're constantly increasing. Verse 16 says, redeeming the time because the days are evil. So we seeing right now the days are evil. When you go into that word evil, go into a ill time, a time of trouble that we've never seen before. Jacob's trouble is at the door, the hour of temptation, and also what the MOTB. They are very close at hand. They want this total control, the NWO. Redeem the time wisely. Wisely. Make the best of your time. Don't be fooling around. It's time to seek the Lord while he can be found. Verse 17, wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And one thing about it, understanding what the will of the Lord is. Wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of the time. Faith and works work hand in hand. And one thing about it, constantly examine yourself. Get your house in order. Let go of the modern thought. Gird up your loins. And one thing about our salvation is at the door. The Lord is getting ready to return. We constantly warning you of these things left and right, but a lot of our people are still not believing, still are despised, still are going on with their daily life. But one thing about it, and these prophecies are speaking loud and clear. The Lord said, I will come like a thief in the night. While you're not watching, while you're unawares, the Lord is getting ready to catch a lot of people off guard. Every eye shall see him, even the one that pierced him. The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the ending. The Almighty Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. So the title of the daily lesson, once again, is End Times Events. It's like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua by Hashem Rekak Kwadash Kwam Yasharala. Shalom. Shalom.